Mr. President, division and area governors, honored guests, fellow Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen. 1986 is a year to remember. It was in this year that an event has unfolded, an event that had gripped the attention of the whole world. And that event changed the course of the Philippines' history. And in some way, that event also had an impact on me personally. Now, just in case you're wondering which event is that, because I can see some of you probably are not yet born on that day. That was the People Powers Revolution in the Philippines, 1986 February. When my family moved to Manila from Hong Kong in 1973, the president of the Philippines is President Marcos. He has already been a president at that time. Now, contrary to popular belief, Marcos was actually an excellent president in the beginning. So he had done a lot of accomplishment. He had started a lot of infrastructure projects. He built a lot of roads, built schools. So he was able to eradicate illiteracy. He was able to make the country food and energy sufficient. And he has expanded the export industries. So by all these accomplishments, he was the only president of the Philippines that was ever re-elected to a second term. He's the first and only. Because by now, the Philippine Constitution only limits the president's term to only one term. So he's the first and last. Now, when he was re-elected, he started to become flamboyant. And you guys probably know that his wife has 3,000 sets of shoes, or pairs of shoes, sorry. So what happened is, we see a president that started right, but along the way, because of greed, because of corruption, that led to his downfall. And it affected the country as a whole. So there was a lot of opposition, a lot of people against him. And in 1972, there was a lot of opposition from the people, and there's also the communist threat. So Marcos declared martial law. And by doing that, the Constitution allows him to have the emergency power, so he can close down the TV station, he can close down newspaper that is critical of him, and he can arrest people very quickly. Basically, what he's doing is he ruled the country by decrees. And it's very scary because he can do anything he wants, and it's legal. You can't do anything about it. It's legal. And at that time, I was a kid. My favorite Japanese cartoon show was banned by Marcos. Why? Because that show depicts the toppling of a tyrant emperor. So obviously he don't like that show, so he banned it. Well, not all is lost, because finally we have this person by the name of Benigno Aquino, which the Filipinos fondly call him Ninoy. He's actually a leader of the opposition that was in exile. So he finally decided to come back to the Philippines, and is going to contest the presidential election against Marcos. Now, Ninoy is a real threat to Marcos. He has that capability to win over him. So because of this very reason, he was assassinated. The day he arrived in Manila, he was shot at the head. Now, there was we don't know whether Marcos has a direct involvement, but definitely his cronies has all their hands written on it. Now, because of this assassination, the people were outraged. They're very angry. They're very upset about this one, and the economy go down even further. So at that time, even the Americans who used to support Marcos, they're also trying to keep a distance. So Marcos, he had to do something. So he called a snap election in 1986. So on one hand, he can legitimize his grip on power if he wins the election. And because without Ninoy, so there's no contender, he thought. But what turns out is the opposition, they encouraged Ninoy's wife, Cory, to stand for election. Well, initially Marcos was thinking, that's easy. Why? Because Cory is just a typical Filipino housewife. She got no experience. Come on, are you kidding me? You want a housewife to be your president? How is she going to run the country? So he thinks it's sure win. He got no problem. But then that's not what it turns out. Because the people are really fed up with Marcos. And the election is the only one way or only legitimate way to get rid of him. Alright? And this is what Cory's message to the people. Yes, she is a housewife. She knows nothing about politics. But then what she knows is that if you let Marcos continue running the country, you're running the country down. And that's for sure. So the Filipinos has to make a choice. It's a big if. What if Cory really becomes the president and she really can't do her job? Right? The country will become worse off. But that's an if. But if you go for Marcos, certainly the country is gone. Okay? So it's between uncertainty, but there's a change, or at least there's a hope for change, and certainty for ruin. So obviously the Filipinos make the choice, and they elected Cory. But it doesn't work that way initially, because the election body, COMELEC, initially proclaimed Marcos to be the winner. And during that the vote counting, there's a lot of irregularities happen. So the result has been tempered. Marcos didn't win the election, it was Cory. And there was another poll body at that time, which is called NAMFREL. They also do the vote counting. Their results show that Cory wins. So obviously you know who is telling the truth. Right? But the COMELEC, nevertheless, they still proclaim that Marcos is a winner. Alright, so they say Marcos wins. And that started the chain of events that leads to the People's Power Revolution. Now the Minister of National Defense, Juan Enrile, he started a coup, but failed. So he ended up holed up in a military camp with Fidel Ramos. But then he quickly asked for help. And at that time there was this radio station called Radio Veritas. This is a non-government radio station. That's why they're able to broadcast. They ask people to come to Camp Aguinaldo, come to EDSA, come and support the rebels. And that's what happened. Because at that time, 1986, no cell phone, no SMS. Radio is the only way. And they're able to broadcast. Now the military quickly took down the radio station. But what did the rebels do next? They are smart. They took over a TV station. Even better. You turn on the TV, you saw the rebels on TV telling you, come to EDSA. So when the army was sent, the tanks went in, the people were there blocking the tanks. Alright, so they cannot go in and get the rebels. So in the end, what happened? Marcos finally had to flip. And the People's Power Revolution was a success. Cory was made the president, the legitimate president of the Philippines. Now this whole event, I learned two things from this whole event. Firstly, absolute power corrupts absolutely. When someone is given too much power, eventually it will lead to his downfall. He will do something that is not, and he will just think about himself, he just benefit himself and no one else. Okay? Secondly, if we want change, We cannot just sitting here and hope someone will do the change for us. We have to be the doer of the change. We have to get out and effect that change, or else no change will ever. And that's what the Filipinos did. When they appealed, come to EDSA, they all went in, or else the revolution will be a failure. So, thank you for your time, and I hope that you learn a thing or two from my speech. Thank you.